One night at the Pickles house, Tommy's playing with one of his toy soldiers in the bathtub. Dee Dee's watching him nearby as he crawls over to the drain plug and pulls it out. The drain drains all the water, delighting Tommy until the toy soldier floats toward the drain. Tommy watches as the toy soldier gets sucked down the drain and worried it might happen to him as well. He cries, which gets the attention of Dee Dee, who is brushing her teeth. Dee Dee then picks Tommy up out of the bathtub and asks him if something scared him. The next morning, Dee Dee takes Tommy and Angelica to Chucky's house. Angelica runs up the front door. She rings the doorbell repeatedly. Chaz answers it. Angelica tells him he's looking well, that his hair has grown back. She then asks him if she can play with Chucky's toys. Chaz tells her she can. Angelica runs in before he can tell her where they are. Dee Dee sits Tommy down and gives Chaz several of Tommy's diaper bags. Chaz tells Dee Dee that he's not sure as he has everything Tommy will ever need at his house. Dee Dee tells Chaz she'd like to talk to him alone outside and shuts the door. Outside, Dee Dee explains to Chaz that Tommy had a scare last night and is going through his water ejection stage. Tommy and Chuckie watch through the window as Chaz explains to Dee Dee that he went through the same experience with Chuckie, and he assures her if he can get Chuckie to take a bath, he can try to do the same with Tommy. As they walk away, Tommy sadly tells Chuckie that last night when he took his bath, he almost got sucked down the drain. Chuckie tells Tommy that he used to be just like him. He used to think he could get sucked down the drain as well, and then one day he heard a voice that told him the truth. Tommy asks Chuckie what the voice was, and Chuckie tells him to follow him so he can show him. In Chuckie's bedroom, Chuckie puts on a record that plays a song that explains that you can't get sucked down the drain. Chuckie asks Tommy if he thinks the song is great, and Tommy tells him it's the best song he ever heard. Just before the record player can finish the song, Angelica smashes it with a baseball bat. She asks Tommy and Chuckie if they're afraid of going down the drain. Tommy denies it and asks her why she thinks that. Angelica tells Tommy the only reason anyone would listen to the song, which she calls it dumb, is because they're afraid of going down the drain. Chuckie tells Angelica the song isn't dumb, and it's true, as you can't get sucked down the drain. Angelica tells Tommy and Chuckie that the song isn't true, that you can get sucked down the drain. Tommy gulps nervously and asks Angelica if that's true, and Angelica tells him it is. She then tells a story, which she obviously made up, about a kid who lived a few streets away from Chuckie's house. Angelica tells Tommy and Chuckie that the kid always did what his parents told him and never thought twice about going down the drain. Till one night he was taking a bath. It was during that time the drain sucked up everything in its path. Even though the kid tried to swim away, the drain pulled him in, and the next thing his parents knew, he was gone. After Angelica finishes her story, she tells Tommy and Chuckie not to let anybody tell them that they can't get sucked down the drain, because they can, big time. As she leaves Chuckie's bedroom, she says to herself that she fooled Tommy and Chuckie. Unsure, Tommy then asks Chuckie if the song is true, or if Angelica is true. Chuckie doesn't respond, and Tommy asks him if he's listening. Chuckie then rips up his record sleeve and screams in horror. Chaz opens his closet and looks around. He finds his bath time puppet friends, Mr. Dirt and Mr. Water, saying they're just when he needs to help Tommy get through his water ejection stage. Back in Chuckie's bedroom, Chuckie asks Tommy, who's pacing the floor, what they're going to do. Tommy tells Chuckie he's thinking, and Chuckie tells him to hurry. Just then, Tommy has an idea. Chuckie asks him what the idea is, and Tommy asks him if Chaz is going to bathe them tonight. Chuckie tells him he is, and Tommy asks him if they don't want to get sucked down the drain. Chuckie tells him they don't, and Tommy says all they need to do is plug up the drain. Chuckie asks Tommy how that's possible, and Tommy asks Chuckie if he has any clay dough. As Chaz practices his impression of Mr. Dirt and Mr. Water, Tommy and Chuckie, neither of whom is carrying a Raptor lunchbox, sneak past him and go into the bathroom. Tommy watches as Chaz leaves and Chuckie helps Tommy get into the bathtub. Once he's in, Tommy tells Chuckie to hand him the clay dough. Chuckie opens the lunchbox and hands Tommy the can of clay dough, telling him to be careful with it as it is tricky and he never knows what it might do. Tommy tells Chuckie not to worry as he opens the can, which falls into the bathtub. Tommy and Chuckie scream in fear and duck as this happens. They then see the can has landed in the bathtub, and Tommy walks up to the drain. He pulls the clay dough out of the can and puts it in the drain, then uses a toy hammer and toy knife to spread it all over the drain. After Tommy's finished, Chuckie pulls him out of the bathtub, and Tommy tells him they plugged up the drain. Chuckie then asks Tommy how they'll know if the drain's plugged up for good. Tommy tells Chuckie there's only one way to find out, and he walks up to the bathtub faucet and turns the water on. The water is kept in the bathtub thanks to the clay dough plugging up the drain, and the bathtub quickly begins to overflow. Tommy and Chuckie watch as this happens, but as does Angelica when she comes out. She's impressed with the overflowing bathtub. Then, just to rat Tommy and Chuckie out, she tells Chaz that they made a mess in the bathroom. Chaz comes into the bathroom and screams in horror when he sees his water from the bathtub leak onto the floors. Chaz calls the Royal Flush Plumbing Company, and a few minutes later, the truck stops at his house. As the plumber unclogs the drain, Chaz asks him if it's bad, and the plumber tells him that while it isn't too bad, it's going to cost him since it's a house call. Chaz questions what a plumber does besides house calls. Tommy and Chuckie are now outside, sitting sadly in the sandbox. Angelica walks up to them and tells them they had a good effort with the Clay-Doh, but it sadly didn't work. Tommy tells her that after he and Chuckie take their bath tonight, they'll be gone forever. Angelica tells Tommy and Chuckie it's too bad they can't bathe in sand instead of water and asks if they agree. Tommy and Chuckie tell her that they do, and Angelica says it's the best thing about sand and or that if it can fit just about anywhere and it's very easy to move, as it can be carried in it can be carried in a bucket. This suddenly gives Tommy and Chuckie an idea. They use sand to plug up the drain. Back inside Chuckie's house, Chaz tells the plumber he hopes it wasn't too much trouble, and the plumber tells him it was no trouble at all as he hands him a bill. The plumber leaves, then Chaz looks around for his puppets. Tommy watches from behind the doorway and tells Chuckie the coast is clear. A few minutes later, Tommy and Chuckie transfer the entire supply of sand from Chuckie's sandbox into the bathroom. Tommy tells Chuckie that with a sand-filled bathtub, there's no way they can go down the drain now. Chuckie says he agrees, and that they sure had a great idea, and wonders how they thought of it. Chaz, who has just found his puppets, finds Tommy and Chuckie in the bathroom and tries to say he'd like to meet Mr. Dirt and Mr. Water, but then is shocked to see the entire bathtub filled with sand. After Chaz calls the Royal Flush Plumbing Company again, the plumber returns and drains all of the sand out of the bathtub with a vacuum hose. After the job is finished, Chaz thanks the plumber with his puppets, then does so normally, telling him he's glad to have him come back on such short notice. The plumber then says, "No thanks. No, thank you," as he writes up another bill and hands it to Chaz. Inside the bathroom, Angelica places her Cynthia doll in the toilet seat, pretending the toilet's a jacuzzi. She asks Cynthia if she wants to turn the bubbles on, then flushes the toilet to stimulate the bubbles. Tommy and Chuckie run back up to the now empty bathtub, and Tommy tells Chuckie that after tonight they'll be gone. Angelica walks up to Tommy and Chuckie and asks if they're going to give up already. Tommy tells her that he and Chuckie are, as they tried everything he could. They plugged up the drain with Clay-Doh and sand, but it's no use, unless she has an idea. Angelica tells him she doesn't and that they're goners. Angelica then walks up to Cynthia and tells her that her plan worked, as now Tommy and Chuckie think they can get sucked down the drain. Karma soon catches up with Angelica when she flushes the toilet again. She accidentally knocks Cynthia into it, causing Cynthia to get flushed down. When Angelica sees Cynthia get flushed down the toilet, she screams her name in horror. Drew drives his car to the driveway of Chuckie's house, and he goes into the house. Angelica runs up to him, begging for him to let Cynthia be okay. Tommy and Chuckie witness this, and Chuckie tells Tommy that Angelica sure seems upset. Tommy says that Angelica's older than them, and she surely won't care about what happens to Cynthia. Angelica screams in horror as the plumber, who has just disassembled the toilet, reaches in and pulls out a very dirty Cynthia out, which he hands to Angelica. Angelica screams in horror again when she sees the state of Cynthia. As Drew leads her to his car so they can get back home, Tommy and Chuckie look out the window and hear Angelica saying that people can get sucked down the drain after all. After they close the curtains, Chaz tells them it's time for their bath. Tommy and Chuckie run away and scream in fear. Chaz is worried he may have scared them with his puppets and tells them it's only him. He calls the babies into his bedroom and finds them hiding under his bed. He then realizes that getting them to take a bath may be more difficult than he thought. When Chaz finally bathes Tommy and Chuckie, he tells them that the water isn't scary. In fact, it's their friend. He then tries to explain the scientific definition of water until the phone rings. As he leaves to answer the phone, he tells Tommy and Chuckie to stay in the tub and not to move, as he will be right back. Chaz answers the phone, and Drew is on the other end. Drew tells him about Angelica's experience at the toilet, and Chaz tells him not to feel bad about it. The doorbell rings, and Chaz tells Dee Dee to come in. As Chaz continues talking to Drew, Chuckie tells Tommy that so far they're still in the bathtub, but they have to get out before Chaz pulls the drain plug. Tommy then looks over at the plug and crawls toward it. Chuckie asks Tommy what he's doing, and Tommy tells him he's going to pull the drain plug. Chuckie asks Tommy why he's doing that as their bath is almost over. Tommy says that this bath may be almost over, but what about future baths? He asks Chuckie if he's going to be afraid forever, and Chuckie tells him that it works for him. Tommy tells Chuckie that it may be fine for him, but he doesn't want to be afraid anymore. He has to know once and for all whether people can get sucked down the drain or not. Chuckie covers his eyes as Tommy pulls out the drain plug. The drain drains the water, and Tommy puts his foot over it, realizing that even a little baby like himself, much too big to fit down the bathtub drain, he and Chuckie were both afraid for nothing the whole time. He laughs happily, and Chuckie uncovers his eyes, seeing that Tommy is still in the bathtub, then realizes that he and Tommy don't have to be afraid anymore. Crawls up to Tommy. Chaz and Dee Dee walk into the bathroom as he tries to explain the situation to her. But Dee Dee is surprised to see Tommy and Chuckie playing happily in the bathtub. She tells Chaz that he cured Tommy out of his water phobia and that he is an expert in getting children to take baths. Chaz thanks her with his Mr. Dirt puppet. Tommy and Chuckie continue playing happily in the bathtub.